Yeah. Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to X's and O's. Tonight it is X's and VO's. It is episode 8, Tuesday, April 27th, 2021. Thank you for being with us here on Facebook Live. Hope everybody is having a great day as we get to the end of the month of April, amazingly. And I can't believe we've already done 8 of these episodes, but our special guest tonight is a former member of the Maine Mariners coaching staff, the video coach from the inaugural season of 2018-19. He is now in his second season as video coordinator with the San Diego Gulls of the AHL, all the way from sunny San Diego, Austin Violette. Vio, how are you, man?
I'm good, Kills. Thanks for having me on, guys. How you guys been?
We've been good. Not as good as you because, first of all, you're out in the beach every day. But secondly, we haven't had hockey here. So we're jealous of that, I'm sure. But what has it been like for you this year? I mean, obviously, for everybody that's playing, strange year, no fans, COVID testing all the time. But how have the Gulls gotten through it to this point?
Yeah, so it's basically like what you guys are seeing on TV with NHL games, right? Like empty stands. We're playing out of the Anaheim Ducks practice rink here. So it's a smaller stadium. No fans. Actually, we just started to let families in last weekend. So immediate families are in now. But other than that, you come in every day, you get your nose swabbed, get your temperature taken, and go about your business wearing one of these every day. So I'm spaced out right now. No one's inside with me, so I can have the mask off. But usually we have those things on every day. So other than that, we try to go forward as business as usual.
Do you find yourself grateful, though, that you're able to have a season? I mean, even though it's not a normal season, you look around and a lot of teams like us and junior hockey in Canada and elsewhere are unable to play this year. And at the very least, you're able to have some sense of normalcy in that you've been playing games.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to come back out. I was home for, 9 or 10 months during all this, and I was starting to go a little stir crazy there. So it's good to get back out here, get a purpose to waking up every day, just getting work done and having a little product on the ice to show for it. So it's good.
Before we move forward here with VO and with Riles, we want to remind everybody, as always, that we are interactive here on X's and O's. So drop your questions and comments that you may have throughout the show right below on Facebook. We'll get to those. We'll have some trivia later on for a chance to win prizes. You can also win a prize by sharing the stream with your friends and helping us widen our audience, and we appreciate that as always. Well, Vio, I think the last time you and I talked was Quarantine, kind of the beta test for X's and O's. It was the radio version of our quarantine show. God, probably over a year ago now since we talked. And, you just wrapped up your first season there in San Diego at that point, and eventually you made your way here back to Maine during the beginning of COVID. But, as you look back at it now, what's it been like living on the opposite coast? How are things different? And, how do you compare living in Portland to living in San Diego?
I mean, it's tough to compare the two, I guess. They both have water, so that's all they supposed to get. But it's good. The first year out here, I had a little studio apartment to myself, so I was kind of just getting familiar with the area. Then obviously the rents were thrown into the plan this year, being relocated up to Irvine instead of being down in San Diego itself. But this year, me and 3 other staff members are sharing a house. So that's fun, and it's right across the street from the rink too. So we're actually saving money on gas pretty nicely. So, but it's going well. I mean, sunny San Diego for a reason, right? Like, it's beautiful here. The weather's beautiful. It's a very high quality of life to have out here. So I've been enjoying it. That's for sure.
Riles, I want you to ask Vio a question. Jump in.
Well, I got a lot. First off, thanks for popping on with us, Vio. Second of all,
hey, no problem.
I can tell that you've been clean shaven, haircuts often. What's it like being in an AHL locker room after not really spending much time at the ECHL level and now going up there? Is it a little different atmosphere around the locker room, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thanks for having me on, Riles. I appreciate the message you guys reached out. But It's definitely different. Like we have a goalie coach, 2 assistant coaches, me, and a head coach. Compared to like the 3-coach system, we have 2 equipment trainers, 2 medical trainers. We have a GM. We have 2 team service people. So our staff's bigger, and you have your one specific job. So my job here is video. So I'm in charge of making sure the video is always on the computers, and like that's all. I need to make sure the meetings are prepared. I need to make sure everything's clean, everything works. Anything technology related, I have to be on the game. So it's more, I would say, more organized because you're more focused on one task at hand rather than wearing a bunch of hats like you do currently in your situation there. So it's a well-oiled machine here, and it's getting you ready for that next level.
Yeah, and I do have a question coming in from your mom. I was just she wanted to know if you miss her and if you're excited to see her when you're allowed to go back to Gorham again.
Of course, I miss my mom. Of course. It's a silly question for her. I hope she knows better than that. But yeah, I'm excited to get home. It's been a taxing season, we're playing 46 games or whatever it is in 3 months that we're out here. So we're playing 3 games a week, and it's different teams every night, different pre-scouts. It's been a lot of work this year, little time, but definitely has gone by fast.
You guys are having a pretty good season once again, as the Gulls have really had nothing but winning seasons since they entered the league in 2015-16, and so far through 36 games. 20 currently riding a 4-game point streak. Looks like you guys are actually leading the AHL in goals scored with 126. So seems like it's a pretty exciting team to watch and be a part of. Tell us about the players that make up this team and what kind of team you guys have this year.
It's definitely been a fun year, yeah. A lot of offense. I mean, we have just about whatever you can think on our team, from veterans to older guys to we got some toughness. We got a lot of skill. We got a lot of young kids, especially with no Canadian junior leagues playing this year, right? So those players are eligible to play in the American League like they wouldn't usually be. So we had 4 or 5 young guys like Jamie Drysdale was with us for a little bit this year. Bo Gruel, Max Golod, Jacob Perrault, like those guys here. And like the skill level is through the roof, I think, all around the American League this year, actually, just like with that being the case. And it's been a fun year.
What's it like having those younger guys coming in? I guess you're the same age, maybe almost getting to the older side of it now. What's it like having those guys with like that same dynamic on the age group?
Yeah, I think this is the first year I'm not the youngest human in the building anymore. So we got a couple younger guys. So I kind of give them a tough time around the rink. Why not? But it's fun. Like, and even it brings life into the locker room too, right? Because these guys are young. We have older guys too, and like it just keeps everyone young in there. A lot of teaching, a lot of maturing, and just getting to that pro level because it's so different from any other level that they've played in before. And some of these guys shouldn't even be here for 2 more years, but we get to have them this year. Then next year they're going to go back to junior. So it's you can tell it's an eye-opening experience for them, and you can tell that they're enjoying every day of it.
Well, you see right there on the screen there, former Portland Pirates head coach Kevin Dineen is there, as we know. Another thing that really stood out as I was just doing research on the team, the success on the ice has led to just amazing fan support. You guys have had you've been in the top 5 in attendance ever since the team came into the league. And again, 2015-16, led the league in attendance in 2017-18 and 18-19. Obviously, the big asterisk on this season with no fans, but I'm sure that's one of the things you must have noticed right away when you arrived for the 1920 season, the support that the team has in maybe what some people would consider a non-traditional hockey market.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to see last year, being my first year out here. You don't really know what to expect, and then you get there for a game night, and people, like I pull in 3-4 hours before the game, and people are already in the parking lot tailgating or playing games, or they throw like festivals in the parking lot before like Saturday games. They have bounce houses and all this stuff out there. So they definitely have fun with it, that's for sure. Then you can hear the place rocking during the games and almost sold out every game the place is. So you can see how much people appreciate having the competitive sport and just hockey in the area. And then you stay after the game for an hour or so after, then you go to drive out of the gate and you got a line of people waving at you, shouting at you when you're driving out. So there are definitely some diehard Gulls fans in San Diego, and it's really fun to see out here.
You kind of mentioned it earlier about, your job and how many people involved in the coaching staff. But, you hear the title video coordinator, and maybe there's a lot of people that aren't 100% sure what that entails on a day-to-day basis. I mean, they think about it in a game day, breaking down film, and showing it to the guys between periods before and after the game. But how about a non-game day? Take us through what a normal non-game day would be like for you.
A normal non-game day, like a set schedule. Well, first off, Gills, you should know this. There is no set schedule in hockey.
I do know that very well.
But, I come in a little bit earlier, make sure everything's organized in our room, make sure all the boards are clean for the guys, the TVs are on to NHL Network, on golf, whatever the guys like. I'll get in. If we have a game coming up, I'll download the team's previous 3 games, and I'll watch those. I'll clip those for the coaches and make sure they have those on their computers whenever they please to look at it. But then usually we come in, I'll throw on the meetings onto the big screen here in the coaches room. We'll run through it together, take out clips, add clips, change the wording on them and whatnot. And then the guys will go on the ice, and that's kind of my time to get work done. So I'll start putting together the pre-scout files or send them in pre-scouts, face-off loops, and all this kind of stuff. So it's go, and then usually we head out of here, get on the bike out in beautiful weather, head to the beach, do something outside. So you gotta stay outside. You gotta enjoy life away from the rink and really make it all worthwhile.
Perfect segue into Matt O'Brien's question. Can we break down Vio's golf swing? It might take too much time because it's so bad. Defend your golf swing, Vio.
My golf swing has gotten dramatically better. I used to play the slice. I'm a lefty, so I'd come down on top of it and really just slice the ball. But on my defense, when I had the slice, I would play the slice pretty well. And I would hit a lot of fairways and whatnot, but I'd lose a lot of distance because the ball's cutting about 100 yards from right to left. But now I keep my chin tucked, and I keep the arms straightened and the wrist nice and loose, and the ball's going pretty straight now. So I think Matt might have a tough time if I get the invite back down there to teach him something.
Raz, I know you got something to say about this. Jump in there.
Yeah, we went down to Ledge Rock. It's a golf country club just outside of Philadelphia with Matt and Danny last summer. It was an awesome weekend to go hang out with some of the guys, and I know that the golf course is very challenging, especially for Vio and I, who are playing a couple of courses, just Gorham Country Club and Nonsuch and those places, to venture down there and have some pretty challenging holes. So we were definitely not in the mix off of the start. And then it was probably the most golf I ever played in one day. We went 2 rounds, and I was getting fatigued. I was gassed, when the sun's hitting you. And even though we didn't even walk, we had golf carts, I was still tired getting up there and swinging. So I can see why those golfers on tour work out now. Before I thought, they just show up, take a couple of cracks on the old driving range and then step out there. But it definitely took a toll on me. I was happy to get on I-95 north there and come home to just have a hot shower and a bath, just get a regroup in.
There's got to be some amazing courses in San Diego, Vio. I mean, with that scenery that you must have out there. You play any cool courses out there?
I think I played one of the coolest. I played Torrey Pines a couple times, the north and the south course, and it's a fun and challenging course, that's for sure. But you definitely, and we have the connections too, right? So you don't take that for granted, and you're thankfully get to go on such nice courses for little to nothing. So you take it in while you're there and just enjoy it.
We won't ask you who the best golfer on the Gulls is, because then someone will get angry at you. So we'll pass on that one. We will move to – I wanted to get to the with every X's and O's episode, we always have a connection between Riley and our guests. And obviously, Vio was a video coach for the Mariners in 2018-19. But Riles, when did you first come across Vio? How was that connection made? And then, how did he get the job as video coach in that first year?
Yeah, right when I first quit playing in Reading, I got a job at the Seacoast Spartans youth hockey program, and they were just kind of starting this new thing with having a U20 team, U18 team, and kind of working its way down. And I got a job there, and my job was to build this new U18 team. And I had to go out and recruit and find kids to come and play. So I went to work. There was tons of tournaments down in Marlborough and Foxborough and all these towns, and I was driving around and I'd put teams in tournaments. And then we had a U18 tournament in the summertime, and I had Austin come and play. And once I saw him and how he played and his leadership, like in the room, just in that little bit of a tournament, I was like, I really want this guy to play on my team. So as it went on, I had to talk to Mr. and Mrs. Violette and try and see if I can get him to come to my team, being down in New Hampshire and them living in Gorham. And ended up having, I think, four guys on the team from up in the area. And then right after that, I ended up going to Wheeling. So Austin's mom didn't really like me too much after I told her that Austin should come play for me. And then 2 months later, I was leaving town. So once I came back up to Portland, and I thought, what about getting somebody in? And lo and behold, I didn't even know where Austin lived. And all of a sudden, he's living about 5-7 minutes from where we bought a house. And it just happened to work out that at the start, he started coming in and helping out at training camp. He wanted to stay in hockey, and from there he took over the video, picked that up pretty quick, and then from there he was on the ice in morning skates, coming out for practices, and then he was coming on the bench in the third period. So he made some really big strides his first year. It was awesome to see how far he came along and started to come out of his shell a little bit. So definitely something that was met him back in 2016. And still going strong.
Let's pull up the tail of the tape now. Since you guys don't really have any comparison numbers to put together, I just compiled some memories from the 2018-19 season. Of course, Mariners fans will always remember the inaugural season. And, Vio, how much of that do you take credit for is the question.
I think I take credit for 37 of those games, I think.
Well, we were pointing earlier when we were running our little test stream the other day that the road record struggled a little bit, but when you started coming on the road later in the year, that was actually when the team began to play better on the road. So I think there's an opportunity for you to take some credit for that. But but Vio, what do you remember most about the 2018-19 Mariners season? Some highlights of the year that you'll always have.
Like it was my first year in pro hockey, so it was really eye-opening. Riley was very welcoming and understanding, and it's a good teacher of the behind-the-scenes kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun just riding to the rink with him every day, picking his brain, just taking it all in. The first day he told me just really to be a sponge, just take it all in, absorb everything you can and take it with you as you go on and on. I think, going on the bench was extremely cool. I'm thankful for that. Everyone wants to be behind the bench someday, right? That's where all the action's at. So it was cool to get a taste of that and actually kind of know what I'm getting myself into eventually down the road. So a lot to learn. You learn a lot that year, and you kind of just take it with you as you go on and
on. Tremendous overtime shootout record too. I mean, I think anybody looking at that from the outside, that's got to be what stands out, right? 13-2-1, and that's something that carried over obviously into the second season as well. But Riley, when you think about Vio, both of you guys alluded to it, like his role increased exponentially as the year went on, from just being part-time to then coming in on just during the week to compile video, and then coming on road trips, and then eventually on the bench. How did you see him grow and earn those chances to kind of have an internal promotion throughout that year?
Well, if everybody knew Austin, he's like a list guy. He loves like writing things down, making sure he's always organized on like a timely schedule, routine. And I think I think him joining that first year almost kind of like pushed his boundaries a little bit, because we had a couple road trips that we were flying and he wasn't coming on the trip. And then all of a sudden a guy would get hurt and I would tell him, go home and pack a bag. You're now coming on the trip. So it was definitely taking him out of his comfort zone just that little bit, that I think was really good for him in his growth. And then when you talk about growth, you could just see him. He grabbed it so quick, not only from the video side, but coming out on the ice and like working with D, or a guy was standing there not doing anything, he would go over and drop pucks for him, or, you know, pass one-timers. And when you see that, you're like, you know, he's not looking to get off the ice and go sit in the locker room. He really wanted to put the time in and learn. So I think that's kind of where it came back a full circle. And it was like, all right, if he's, you know, willing to do that, let's give him a little more and a little more. And actually, before he left to San Diego, he had a yearly planner that now I've taken. I just bought one the other day, and he had all of the games written out, the hotels, what time the bus is coming, the meals on the road, and everything like that. So the last year that we played, we were already set up. I didn't have to do anything. Austin already took care of that. So it definitely took a load off my plate going into that second year. But I think the one thing that Austin could grow on is that he always brought these nuts on the bus, like nuts and these like raisins and stuff like that. And I'm not that kind of guy on the bus. Like I was looking for like gummy worms, jubes, licorice, you know, bags of chips. And I'd always look back at him and be like, "Hey, do you have any snacks?" And he would show me this.
You wouldn't even see that. You would reach back, you would slap me, and just go like this. You're like Ezra.
And I'd get a bag of almonds, and then I'd look at them and be like, "Why do I want this?" You know. So no, but it was awesome once he started coming on the bus and doing all that kind of stuff too. So I definitely. Loved having him around. Loved having him come on the bench. I know a couple of games we were down, we were losing going in the third, and Austin would come on the bench and be like, "All right, guys, don't worry, I'm here. Like, don't worry, we're going to come back." And all of a sudden, boom, we'd come back, we'd win, or we'd win in overtime or a shootout. And yeah, it was just a cool experience, I think, for both of us.
I seem to remember there was one trip. We were going to go to Newfoundland, and there originally was not room for Vio on the flight, and then someone got called up at like the 11th hour. And I remember you calling Vio like 5 in the morning or something and saying, "Pack your bags. You're going to get on the flight." Am I remembering that correctly?
No, the first one was Jason Salvaggio took a puck in the face and he wasn't able to come. So we came in the room and we're like, "Rip home, pack a bag, you're coming." So we went home. The next time we went, guys were hurt, and I called him. I'm like, "Hey, you're going to come." A guy just got called up, and then something happened. And then I called him on my way. I was like, "Actually, no, hold on. We can't. We have this." And there is so much stuff going on. But I think it was pretty cool for him to come on the one trip. But I know he definitely loved tuning in and watching online, though, too. So it was good.
Hey, before we get into the video breakdowns, Vio, what was the biggest thing you took from that first year with the Mariners that you're able to apply with San Diego?
Just be ready for the unexpected, huh? Like, just be on your toes every day and be able to, if something gets thrown at you, don't just shoot it down. Like, think it through and be a problem solver and just figure things out and make it work.
Always good advice, I think, in that, any field of work. So let's bring up our trivia here. Last week we did not have a winner, so the Mariners t-shirt is still up for grabs. If you can name which player currently on the San Diego Gulls roster played for Hartford last season. So we'll give you some time to think about it, and we will move into our video breakdowns. We'll start with Riley, and we've got some power play breakout clips. Riley, take it away.
Yeah, I think most people understand the power play, and with the Mariners, the last couple of years, we had two pretty good quarterback defensemen in Ryan Culkin and Sean Day. They could be a one-man breakout, which we'll see later on. But this is just a standard breakout, power play breakout here with just a drop where you have Sean Day carrying the puck up, You have two guys a little bit back. So many guys in the league respect Sean Day with how fast he skates and how smooth he is. And then you have your two flank guys. I believe this is Ty Ronning up at the top here by the ref, and this is Morgan Adams Moisan down here, closest to the benches here. But we just a drop pass back, hopefully catch that first forechecker flat-footed, and then you always want to finish your routes, which are skating through the dots on these two guys that are carrying the puck up here. And then you're able to execute, try and get into the zone there. And Dylan Fox, fan favorite, gets a nice chance there. That was Sean Day's turn. And then here's Ryan Culkin's unit. Same thing on the drop. You want to just isolate that top guy. And now you're able to come in with a bunch of speed, finish your routes, and then keep pucks alive here. And then you're able to set it up and go. This one here, this is Sean Day, and talk about how smooth he is here. You can just carry the puck up here through the rink, and he could probably do this every shift he played in this league, which is why I believe he belongs in the American Hockey League. Hopefully could be the first Maine Mariner to play in the NHL as well. And here is Ryan Culkin on just a play where you want to give those guys free rein to be able to take pucks with their skill level. So another one that we call this one a 4 and a pop, where you're just coming off. You want to hit that guy in the middle of the rink. For us, Alex Kyle, very good offensive player. You want to have the puck in his hand, whether he's carrying the puck into the zone or if we're getting it set up in zone, he's usually the quarterback. And as you can see, guys respect him. He sucks guys in, and then we kick it out, and then we're able to get set up here in zone. And then here's just a couple of goals working up top. Again, you have Alex Kyle attacking down the dots here. And you can tell just how poised he is with the puck. And then Ryan Culkin, big slapper. And we always want guys at the net just being able to tip, screen. And that's what Big Mo was able to do. A bunch of like power plays, we call them broken plays, where it's just hard work and trying to get in there while we're in zone and recovering loose pucks. And then trying to make quick plays around the net. And talk about a guy who I think really grew in his 2 years with the Maine Mariners and now is having a heck of a season with the Hartford Wolfpack, second on their team in scoring. I think he might be leading their team in goals. And just around the net right here, he grew so much in his second year, scoring big goals just around the paint. And then another goal from him too, on example of another little broken play of keeping pucks alive, making quick plays. So those are just some of the clips that we have from the power play. But I think for Ty Ronning, it was an area of development for him moving into this season with the Hartford Wolfpack.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that we have. Who's a fan favorite here in Maine. Never really got his shot to get a lot of playing time every time we went up to Hartford. But this year, as you said, Riley, he's making the most of it. I got the stats: 9 goals, 7 assists in 14 games. So 16 points in 14 games. He has been particularly hot lately, and I think if it's almost unfortunate for him that the Rangers are in a playoff race, because I think if they weren't, he might get his chance. But nevertheless, I mean, he is a guy that maybe a lot of people thought wasn't going to pan out, but he has shown this year that he certainly can play at the AHL level, and I think he's earned his chance at the NHL level, and hopefully he'll get it soon.
Yeah, he's a natural goal scorer, though. He had 60 goals in the Western Hockey League, and hopefully as his confidence grows and his game grows, and a lot of guys are late bloomers too. It just takes him a while to kind of figure the pro game out, and he's a smaller guy, so he just had to kind of find his way in there. As you can see now, he's getting the time in Hartford to play on the power play too, which is where I think he's most dangerous. So hopefully he can keep it up, and I want to add to put someone on the wall in Maine of the first guy to play in the NHL. So looking for someone to do that. So for those guys out there, hey, come on, we need to get going here and get someone up there.
All right, Vio, you ready for your clips?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to pull it up. Vio went all out.
I went all out. This is my job, Keels.
Exactly.
All right, you guys can see this now?
We can see it.
Yep.
All right, so I just pulled out a couple face-off plays. I think I have 3 or 4 ozone plays. I have 1 neutral zone play. So right here we have the over the top here. The key is you're going to switch your wingers around. So you're going to have the right winger on the left side and left winger on the right side. So that way he's on his forehand here because his route's going to be over the top like this here. You win the draw back. And the key is having the winger in the center kind of set picks and push through to create this space for him to have that lane to get the puck on net. This one here is going to be the wing slide. So the key is going to be this left winger on the wall. He needs to be able to find that gap into the soft spot here in the slot. He's going to come across here. Notice here, the center and the wing are driving to the net, setting picks, tying up those 2 bodies. And you notice here, watch his head here, just that quick little look to the point there. That's going to it's going to draw that winger out to the point here and create this seam for this one-time pass. But if you watch this play in full motion here, it's just a good play. Another look at it here, the Penguins, but also notice Crosby and where his route is to go. So he goes down to here. But notice that he pops out under his forehand, which also gives that D an option there if this one's taken away. They find a way through here and they put it in the net. But this option here also leads into the next clip of the over-under. So the D could pass down to here. That might buy him here and hit that lane there as well for the wing slide. This one here is going to be the over-under. So the inside wing here is going to set a pick, and he's going to finish his route down to the corner. And the board side winger is going to delay, and then find that soft spot in the middle of the ice here. The key is for that gentleman to win the draw back. And then you saw him, the inside winger here, he takes that route low, just like Crosby did there where he spun off and went over to the boards there. He's going to show that forehand pass. And you see passing that here, he kind of fakes a D out and then comes out high here. That over-under look. Then net front leads to a good goal off the end wall. Just last one here is going to be the neutral zone clip. We call it right wing shoot through. So the key is going to be him here. So you see how his forehand is going to be in the middle of the ice here. They're going to win the draw back. And then right here, it's going to kind of go off the camera here, but he's going to come out, delay, and then he's going to cut through. And it's going to create a seam in that middle of the ice here where this defenseman's going to hit him down the stretch there. So you can see how he attacks. And this winger is also going to pull off the board, which is going to draw this defenseman over to him. And the right winger right here, he's going to attack right at the defenseman and then cut in and show his forehand for this pass and then bring it into the zone. Create good zone time out of that as well. So just a couple offensive plays. I think a lot of people don't realize that just about every face-off, there's going to be something called, whether you're in the offensive zone, the defensive zone, or even the neutral zone too. Like we have face-offs for every dot too. I think just everything's so organized and so dialed into the point that you have a plan when you win it, then you have a plan when you lose it as well. So a lot goes into every face-off. I think people don't really understand that, but it's just a little insight further into what goes on during the game.
Very good. That's what the show is all about. That's why we started it. And I like that we actually have a video coordinator on here that can bring up all the telestrating and everything. So thank you for doing that, VO. I know it's a load on top of everything you already do, but I think the fans appreciate the insight. And it was awesome seeing highlights with fans in the stands there. I mean, that isn't it amazing how much difference it makes? Can't wait till we get back to that. I do have some really good NHL topics I want to talk about, but we haven't had any guesses yet, so I want to throw the trivia up there one more time. Which player currently on the San Diego Gulls roster played for the Hartford Wolfpack last season? It's a little tricky because the player was never a Mariner, but he was a Hartford Wolfpack player last year. And again, if you can get it correctly, and if I can turn the shirt correctly, we have this XL Mariners t-shirt up for grabs. So give it a guess. Can't hurt. So we're getting down the stretch in the NHL, but some of the topics I wanted to bring up are actually career leaderboards. There have been some records passed and closed on this year, and one of them, a player that Riley, you were somewhat familiar with. In fact, when you made your NHL debut in the 07-08 season with the Sharks, he was the captain of the team and recently breaking the all-time record for games played in the NHL. Patrick Marleau up to 1,771 games as he passed Gordie Howe last week or 2 weeks ago now, I believe it was. And a guy that's kind of done it under the radar, right? I mean, he's got unbelievable stats when you look at them, but not necessarily a guy that you think of that would break this record if you're kind of a casual hockey fan, and then he just sneaks up on you. All of a sudden, he has 1,770 games played. So, what kind of impact did he make on you, Riles, in that time you spent in the NHL and in the Sharks organization?
Yeah, well, just touching on that, when I was there, it was Marleau and Joe Thornton were both there, and they were awesome guys. From when I played standpoint, two really good leaders in the room. You know, Joe wore the C, Patrick wore the C. Like, there wasn't any like fights about it or anything like that going on. Just two guys who wanted to win. They want to win a Stanley Cup. They wanted to win a Stanley Cup in San Jose. They were close in 2016, I believe. But just touching on another guy, Mark Recchi on that list was a big influence on me on the coaching side, bringing me to Wheeling while he was player development for the Penguins, and now coaching with the New Jersey Devils as an assistant. So pretty cool from that standpoint. But Patty and Gordie Howe are both from Saskatchewan, because that's what we do in Saskatchewan is we play hockey, and we play hockey for as long as we can until our legs fall off. So that's, you know, I don't know how long Patrick can go for, but from him and his conditioning and how he takes care of his body, that's ultimately why he's played so many games. If you go look at his games played through his 23 years of playing in the NHL, he's almost hitting 82 games every single season, which is extremely hard to do. You know, and that's something where I think a lot of guys have to take into consideration of his off-season workouts, what he's putting into his body, how he's recovering after games and practices, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's where it comes into play. And I think a lot of young players, you know, hopefully look at this and see these guys that really take care of their bodies and how much work really goes into it, not just stepping on the ice and playing games. But that's definitely something I learned from those guys on what they do on preparation and also their cool down as well.
And I mean, we talked to Johnny McInnes on the last episode of X's and O's, who was he had a season of playing all 72 games in the ECHL with Orlando, and to do it 82 at the highest level as many times as Patrick Marleau did, pretty amazing. And I think even more interesting than the question of how many games will he end up playing is, will anyone break this record, or will anyone come close to touching it? Because there's a lot of records that are quote unquote unbreakable. And I want to get both your guys' take on this. Do you think anyone will ultimately break this record, which of course is still and counting for Mr. Marleau?
I think the only guy to break it would be Joe Thornton. He's the only guy that's currently playing, but you know, I don't think anybody else beats that. I was honestly amazed that you know, when I think of this record, I think of Gordie Howe. You know, so to even put Patrick Marleau's face on it now is weird for me still. So there's a statue of Gordie Howe in downtown Saskatoon with this record and stuff like that. So you know, for me, I don't think anybody breaks that now.
What do you think, Vio?
Well, you had to think. I mean, I think everyone thought no one's going to break Mr. Hockey's record there. So it was crazy to actually see, especially like in your lifetime too, just watching him play and seeing that happen. I don't know how many games he's going to play. I'm very curious of what there must be something that they have. Like what do they give the player for 2,000 games? Like a gold stick, or how's that work?
It's never been done. It's never
That's
been done.
Good question.
We've asked that around the room a couple of times. Some guys said they give them 2 silver sticks, but I think they have to go like pure gold or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Joe would have a hard time catching him, I think, at age 41, but maybe it's kind of a little internal competition between the two now. Obviously, close friends, I imagine. But yeah, no, pretty amazing, and I'm interested to see how long he goes. And hey, who knows? We may not have heard the last of Jaromir Jagr. He could pop up. I wouldn't be surprised sitting there at number 4.
I just want to know though, like how many people's and you know how close Marlowe and Thornton are, but you see the video that went viral with Matthews and Marner, telling Patty, "Hey, thank you for lending Joe," and Joe comes out of the stick room. I think it was pretty hilarious that thing went viral. That's Joe in a nutshell right there of how what type of guy he is, and how close him and Patrick were together. They're roommates on the road, like 1, 2, and I forget what draft they were in, but they went 1 and 2 overall. So I think a pretty cool story.
Moving on to another guy moving up the all-time ranks, Alex Ovechkin, the great 8th, is now 6th all-time in goals and 1 behind Marcel Dion. So he's going to, barring a big disappointment, he will pass him this year. And then Brett Hull in his sights next. How high do we see Ovi going here? Are we looking at the all-time leading score here, or is Wayne's record going to hold up?
You can go first, Theo.
I think Wayne's record is untouchable. I think Ovi will get close. I think the old Russian machine's getting a little worn out. I mean, you can say that, but he's still putting up who knows how many goals every year. Like, it's crazy the pace he's at. But I think he gets close, but I don't think that record's beatable.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he would have to, I don't know how long he plays for, though, right? Like, how long does Ovi go for? Alexander Ovechkin. What's that?
His contract's up this year unless he signs a big one.
Yeah. Well, Alex Ovechkin was the first player that my wife ever remembered the name. So she always says that's her favorite player. He would have to average 41 goals over the next 4 years. And now, granted, he does sit in his one-timer hole and hammers pucks, and he seems to score 30 goals a year from there. Does he find a way to chip in another 11 goals by skating around the net somehow? He might, but I just don't think that'll be touched right there. I think that's a lot of goals to make up. And as you get older, I think you kind of start to tail off a little bit. I still think he's going to score 20 goals on a low end, but I don't think he's going to be able to pace at 41.
It'll be really interesting because he's more than likely going to hang on long enough to get to Gordie Howe. And so once you get to number 2, it seems to me that a guy like Ovechkin is just going to have that fire in him that he wants to be the number 1 guy.
He'll have the fire in him, Keels, but what's the gap between 1 and 2? It's a lifetime.
For sure. It is absolutely. But
You might get to 2 in these next couple of years, but then to get to that 1, it's going to be 5, 6 more years he has to play.
It'll be a great storyline to follow for sure. And it's amazing that, we're getting to witness this. And obviously, to Ryle's point, he hasn't really shown signs of slowing down, but he is at age 35. And at some point that will catch up to you. I did sneak in one more here that I wanted to mention because I heard it on a different podcast earlier today. Connor McDavid is at 81 points with 10 games remaining. To reach 100 points in a 56-game schedule would be ridiculous, for lack of a better word. And it may sound 19 points in 10 games, but consider he actually has 19 points in his last 10. So it can be done, but the question is, will it be done? Do you guys think he can reach 100 points?
I think reaching 100 points in 56 games is absolutely ridiculous if you are not Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you will absolutely get it.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody was watching him play last night, but he was skating on a breakaway in the NHL and looked over his shoulder to see where the other guys were on the rink. He's definitely taken this year. He's taken his game to a whole new level. I don't know if it's that extra time that he had off a little bit to kind of recover and regroup and factor in the knee surgery he had a couple years ago that they did a little docu-series on. But I think the way that he just trains, he recovers, his preparation. Again, like Does Leon get there as well? His counterpart there are pretty close. Those guys have been on a pretty good tear. And I think we can also talk in a debate of like Connor and Sid and who's better. And I think Connor's kind of taken the torch, but Sid has those cups to talk about. So I think Connor can enter that equation once he starts putting some cups up on his trophy board.
Another interesting part of the debate is, do you guys feel that it's cheapened at all because he's been playing Ottawa, Calgary, some teams that really Winnipeg, some really rough defensive teams this year, and he's gotten to play those teams over and over again, and I think his stats are really inflated against those teams. In a normal season, you wouldn't be seeing them quite as frequently. Does that cheapen it at all for you guys, or is it still equally impressive?
I mean, he's still in the National League. I mean, everyone's there because they're very good at what they do. So I think it might give him a few extra points, but I think that should not take anything away from what he's doing.
Yeah, you still got to score goals. You're still shooting against Carey Price. You're shooting against some really good goaltenders in that division. And I think at the same time, all these teams that see Connor McDavid over and over and over again, they should be, which they probably are, but you can't stop him because he's so fast and his hands are so good. But you're probably thinking of a plan like, how do we shut this guy down? What guy are we going to put out against him? So I think that's where it comes into play too. But, I imagine when a team's countering against Connor McDavid, he's thinking ahead of what they're doing and, being able to capitalize. But you still got to score goals. And when you pass the puck, those guys still got to score goals too. And, he's definitely making a case for himself this year by getting 100 points. But also, who's the draft pick, Puljujärvi, who came back over now he's having a career year playing with him too. He got him back on the map too. So I think that's the coolest story of it all. Not only him hitting 100 points, but making players around him better. And
I agree. I think no matter who you're playing, Connor McDavid's going to be the best player on the ice. And everybody's I think just to what Vio said, everybody's in the NHL for a reason, even on the bottom feeding teams. It's hard to score goals, and it'll be very interesting to see if you can get it. Remember, those North Division games will actually go past May 5th because of Vancouver's COVID troubles extending their schedule. So by the time we hit the air for the next X's and O's May 11th, we'll probably be able to do a pretty good playoff preview, but there may still be some things to be decided, including McDavid's race to 100 points and also the playoff positioning in the North Division. Well, we did have a correct answer, and it's from someone we know very well, Karen Violette. Congratulations, Vinny Lettieri is the correct answer to the player that played for Hartford.
Is that even fair? Karen listens.
I don't know if that's legal.
Well, I want to give the shirt away.
Gulls game. I don't know if that's allowed.
We'll have to check the XO's rule book here. I don't know if it can be blood.
Yep. We'll have to go back and check the manual. I haven't looked at it in a while, but congratulations, Karen. Thank you for tuning in and participating in trivia.
Good job.
That'll do it for episode 8 of X's and O's. Want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, interacting with the show. Vio, it was great having you again. Good luck the rest of this season here. Best of continued success to the Gulls in the future, and hopefully for all of us, a much normal 2021-22 season.
Thanks, Gills. It's good to catch up with you guys.
Thanks for coming on, Vio. We'll see you back at home as Austin's dad is building a new house for the Armstrongs, which is next door to Austin. So we'll see you in the summertime as my next door neighbor, and tell Bruce to keep putting nails in the floor there. You got to get going.
One more thing I wanted to mention as well, for fans out there that may have missed it, we are doing a second virtual tomato drop from the rafters of the Cross Insurance Arena. First one sold out very quickly, and so we're doing another one presented by Hannaford to go. It's just like the Toss a Tomato Win Some Dough, except we're dumping the tomatoes from the rafters of the Cross Insurance Arena. You can buy 6 tomatoes for $5 at the Mariners merchandise store, marinersmaine.com/shop. And the tomato drop will happen on May 12th. Also, if you buy 12 or more tomatoes, you receive a 15% discount off merchandise at the store. Net proceeds from the tomato drop will benefit Good Shepherd Food Bank. So good cause to help out there as well. So if you want to get involved in that, we've already sold over 300 tomatoes of the 870, I believe. So get over to marinersofmaine.com/shop for the second virtual tomato drop presented by Hannaford To Go. Our next X's and O's episode will be Tuesday, May 11th. As I mentioned, we'll probably be doing a playoff preview, so you won't want to miss that. Guest to be announced, but that'll do it for tonight's show. Thanks again to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to VO and Riles, and have a good night. We'll talk to you next time.